Ulrich Brueckner. He's Professor of European Studies at Stanford University in Berlin. Professor, thank you for your time. I'd love to ask you a question I was going to ask our reporter there, Rahul. President Zelenskyy is doubting that Russia truly wants peace. How do you explain this dissonance between diplomacy and these nightly Russian strikes?
Well, what we currently see on the ground is that President Putin wants to impress President Trump by the news about the glorious Russian army winning territory and in the end occupying the whole country. While in fact, what we see in the negotiations is that Russia is not even participating in this. So the difference can be explained by what Putin says and what he actually does and what he intends and what he tries Trump to believe. And these are very big differences. And it's important that we address it and publicly talk about it.
Well, President Zelenskyy is insisting that legally binding security guarantees are a prerequisite for any ceasefire. But from a European security perspective, do you think that demand is realistic in this current geopolitical climate?
Well, realistic is a matter of definition. It's definitely necessary because this war is not an attack on territory. This war is an attack on the post-Berlin Wall European security order and on international law. And if we let an aggressor get away with whatever he defines as war goals, then everyone else who feels like an attack on a neighboring country is nothing that will be punished by the international community sends the wrong signal. So if what has been presented as the 28 points counts as the final goal of Putin that is also supported by the negotiators from the American side, if this would be the beginning of the peace talks, then it is nothing less than throwing Ukraine under the bus. Therefore, it's necessary to have solid and credible security guarantees on the side of the Ukraine. And this is what the negotiations try to address in Berlin and also the last week in Miami.
Fascinating because the US described these mediated talks as progressing. I wonder, historically, Professor, does intensified military military pressure strengthen or undermine peace negotiations?
Well, Putin tries to give the impression that he has the upper hand militarily. But what we see is that it costs $1 billion every day what the Russian war machinery cost, not to speak of the average 1,200 lives on the Russian side. So it is bloody expensive on the Russian side. When we look at the economic situation, they try to impress the other side to surrender, while in fact it's not necessarily time on the side of the Russians, given the very complicated economic situation back in Russia, not to speak of the long-term implications on the demography in Russia. So this is a very, very expensive special military operation for Russia, and it remains to be seen if they are capable to move on.
Professor Ulrich Brueckner, once more, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.